Shalom, back again with another lesson. Before I begin this lesson, I'd like to begin by giving all honor, glory, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Recha, Kodash. I give double honors to my elders and apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, where I've learned this truth from. I want to say peace and salutations to you, Akim, you brothers out there laboring, pushing his word out in all truth and in sincerity, presenting your bodies as a living sacrifice. I want to say shalom to you, Akwaf, you Israelite sisters out there that may be listening. Also, along with you Israelites that are scattered across the four corners of the earth, you may look like these other nations, but your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is the chosen seed line. Shalom. So in today's lesson, I'm going to quickly touch on the MOTB, which is the mark of the beast, which is going to be made mandatory as we rapidly approach that time. So I'm going to show you some clips that I came across on social media regarding the micro C-HIP and the brain C-HIP, right? Now, we understand that in these times, they're going to be using celebrities to promote this technology, right? To push this technology onto the masses because they want more people to jump on the trend, right? And they're going to use these celebrities. Matter of fact, let me just play the clip.
Oh, we have a new Kim Kardashian conspiracy theory. Here's what's happening. So Kim Kardashian reveals she has holes in her brain on the new season of The Kardashians. I mean, were there really any doubts? I'm just saying. But anyway, Kim speaks and the internet immediately goes bonkers. Oh, she's gearing up to sell brain chips. Yeah, see, the theory is failed bar exam leads to low brain activity reveal, leads to Neuralink implant, leads to suddenly passes bar, leads to massive Neuralink promo arc. People are posting timelines, charts, even marketing rollouts like they've uncovered the Da Vinci Code. Tyler Oakley is even asked, is she laying the groundwork for a Neuralink deal? And honestly, the Kardashians don't seem to sneeze without a brand strategy behind it, so fans are convinced this is step one of something bigger. Neuralink can't boost IQ or help you study, yet. What it can do is help people control a cursor or type with their minds. But that hasn't stopped the internet from saying Kim's setting up the biggest tech wellness collab of all time. What do you think? Coincidence or marketing?
I thought Elon Musk gave you a Neuralink, bro, because you're way too smart.
I'm curious though.
I would love one, by the way. after the first couple thousand go through, I want one.
Yeah.
You put one in?
Oh, 100%.
I would. Why not?
The thing is, what's interesting,
Why wouldn't you?
once you, the Neuralink actually works and you can symbiosis with technology and just download things to your brain, you'll be able to make so much money that it doesn't matter how much the procedure will cost. Anyone will be able to afford it, essentially. So I think like the first few would probably go for an absurd amount of money, right? Because like even if you had $0, you could just hypothetically borrow $100,000, get it, because once you have infinite bandwidth to unlimited knowledge, you could make unlimited money.
Neuralink implant. I'm the first in line, bro. And I'm connecting my social security number to my Twitter account so I can feed the AI. That's my plan, bro. That's my plan. And I'm gonna eat seed oils and tap water, and I'm gonna make sure that my girl is on birth control.
Are you?
That's the plan, bro.
Yeah, that's a good
How
plan.
it works, like you said, I have a chip that was implanted onto my skull, and there are 64 threads with 16 electrodes on each thread. I think that's about right. Implanted in my motor cortex on my left side of my brain, specifically correlating to my right hand movement. Obviously, I can't really move, but all the signals are still there. When we did an fMRI, it's just what lit up most on the scans. And so now I can control a computer with my thoughts. That's kind of the very basic level of it all. Video games came first. It was something that I had a passion for before my accident. I had a lot of fun playing games. It's one of the first things that I did after I got full control of the Neuralink. I just played video games for hours and it was great. But over the years, not having spent a lot of time playing video games for 8 years, I quickly moved on to other things, how I could improve my life, what I could do now that I couldn't before. Controlling a computer, I think a lot of people take for granted what they're able to do, what they can do with just a computer. For me, it became reconnecting with the world in some way, whether that's through social media or texting or emailing. I just was reconnecting with my friends and family and people who I had never met, doing interviews and all sorts of things, and I was scheduling everything. And then moving on to starting a business, and then going back to school. I had my injury a couple months after my senior year of college, and I was a terrible student then, so I didn't finish my degree, but I decided to go back to school. So last semester was my first time back. I took 22 credit hours. I got a 4.0. So I was much more capable than, like I said, I thought I was.
So as you can see, they're going to use these celebrities to promote this technology. You're going to use someone like Kim Kardashian, who's known for selling brands for these major companies, right? So she's more so into fashion, more so into makeup, but when it comes to the digital system, you saw how she wanted to push the promotion of the Tesla robots, or whatever that situation was with Elon Musk. But now, obviously, she's in bed with Elon Musk, not physically, but I'm talking about like business wise. They're gonna want to promote that brain chip, that brain chip, right? So with that being the case, you're gonna start to see all these other celebrities following suit, doing the same thing, because they'll make it a big money scheme for these celebrities, and they'll all fall in line, right? I'm not saying every one of them will, but an overwhelming majority of them will, right? So you saw that other clip that I played where you had that millionaire who was talking about, as soon as it becomes available, I'm signing up. I'm going to be the first in line to get it. You're going to see a lot more of that being played out in the earth with a lot of people, right? Because they'll be compelled to want to choose to receive the mark, right? Now, whenever we talk about the MOTB, or the mark of the beast, we always read in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, because in the 13th chapter, it sort of goes directly into what's going to come of it. It prophesies of what will happen in that time, right? So I'm going to read, in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, and I'm going to start at verse 13. And it reads, "And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men," right? So the great wonders maketh fire come down from heaven. What that's referring to is the Most High giving Esau the technology to create the atom bomb and the ICBM technology, right? So I believe it's Robert J. Oppenheimer, if I'm not mistaken, is the creator of the atom bomb. And one of the things that he says once he created the atom bomb, he said, now I am become as death, the destroyer of worlds. Something to that effect, right, is what he said. Now, this is how we understand that the Lord is talking about these Edomites, right? Right, and you can precept that with the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 16. Matter of fact, I'm just going to turn there now, right? So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, and as you go down to verse 16, right, it says, "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy," right? So the waster is the ICBM missiles, the nukes, right? Where it says, "Behold, I've created the smith," that's a scientist. So like Robert J. Oppenheimer, that was a scientist that created the waster, right? He created the waster to destroy. So if we go back to the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse, I'm going to go to 14. It says, "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live." Now, those miracles that it's referring to is the technology that was created, right? Now, when you read that they should make an image to the beast, that image to the beast is speaking of everything seen and tied to the concept of the ancient Roman society that fell, but then came back again, back in power. So when the Roman Empire fell, you had the long period where they were, sort of quiet, and then you had the American Empire that's now fashioned the whole nation off the back of the ancient Roman Empire. So you see a lot of similarities on, America than the same as what they had in ancient Rome, right? And it's fallen the exact same way. Now, verse 15, right? So this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So now that they've created a clone of the ancient Roman Empire and its deception and wickedness, so if you speak out against the beast system, or you do like a whistleblower, or you become a whistleblower and expose something that you shouldn't, not only will they destroy your credibility, like if you look at Candace Owens trying to destroy her credibility, or Edward Snowden when he released that, they try to destroy your credibility, or in some cases they actually take you out, right? If you think about Charlie Kirk, for example, I'm not saying that that he was exposing anything, but I do strongly believe that there was some foul play in the result of his deletion, should I say, right? So the main point, right, is in verse 16, right? So this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now we're going to look at that word mark, just sort of go into that a little bit. So in the Strong's Concordance, we're going to look at the word mark, which is G5480, right? And this is charagma, right?
Strong's G5480, charagma. Charagma.
Charagma, right? So it says the outline of biblical usage is a stamp or an imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the anti-anointed, right, which is his beast system. It says the mark branded upon horses, thin carved sculpture, graven work, or of an idolatrous image, right? So when we look at the root word, etymology, because some people will argue the fact that, well, that doesn't say incision, but we look at the root word, right, the etymology of the word, right, it goes into the word charax, right, which is the same thing. It's a etymology.
Strong's G5482, charax. Charax.
Charax, right? So if we look at the outline of biblical usage, it says a pale or stake or a palisade, right? If you understand what a palisade is, I'll show you, right? So it's one of those gates that they use to keep people out, right? But it's the way it's shaped will give you an idea of what it's referring to, right? So as we look at the word palisade, I'll type out exactly how it is, right? So when you look at it, right, you look at the images, you see a stake, right? You see how the fences are shaped there. Now, when you look at these fences, I'll just click on this one, for example, right here. You see how they're shaped? I know you've seen these fences, you're walking by, especially here in the UK, you see a lot of these, but you'll see these everywhere, right? Now, when you're looking at here, for example, right? You have an example there, right? Now, there are many shapes, many examples of that, right? So as we look at other examples, I think this one is the best example. But if you look here at this image, for example, you see how that one's shaped, right? It looks like the top of a syringe, right? Now, when we investigate that further, and you look at let's have a look. Microchip. Microchip needle, right? You see how it's shaped there? It's just like that that fence we just looked at, right? Right? It looks just like a palisade. You see how the needle comes out, or the chip comes out of that needle? Literally, that's what it's referring to, right? So you'll have a lot of Israelites that will argue the case and say, no, that's not what that is. That's not what that is. But it's clear as day. That's what it is. That's what it's referring to. And you'll have some Israelites that just will refuse to accept that the MOTB can be the microchip, even though all signs are pointing to it, right? So say any Israelites groups or people out there that say that the microchip is not the MOTB, then don't believe anything they say because they don't know what they're talking about, right? Because clearly they don't understand future prophecy. These prophecies are getting ready to come to pass, right? So as we keep on, we'll continue on. It says Revelation chapter 13, verse 17. It says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name, right? So they'll say, oh, the MOTB is sin, it's an embargo, it's whatever, it's sleeping with white women, it's whatever, If they say anything like that, if the answer isn't, oh yeah, it's the microchip, then whatever they talk about in regards to that prophecy of the microchip being accepted or being accepted by both rich, poor, free, and bond, then they don't know what they're talking about, right? They're not giving you the truth, right? It says, here is wisdom. This is verse 18. It says, here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, 66, so 666. Now, the true men of the Lord that are sighing and crying about this being a microchip, they're bringing out the truth and they're warning the people as the Lord has commanded them to, right? So I'm going to turn over to the book of Ezekiel, right, chapter 9. I'm going to read verse 4, right? Because there's a different mark, a mark of exemption, because the ones that take the mark, right, accept that mark of the beast are going to be destroyed by taking that mark of the beast, and I'll get into that as well, right? But I'm going to read this in the book of Ezekiel chapter 9 verse 4. And the Lord Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. Says, slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. Right? So we're going to look at the word mark in verse 6, right? So this is the word. Let's get the mark. And this is H8420. So this is the word.
Strong's H8420. Tav. Tav.
Tav. Right? And the outline of biblical usage here is desire, mark, or mark as a sign of exemption from judgment. Now we're going to go back to the book of Revelation, right? And this is Revelation chapter 14. We're going to give you the judgment that these other people that accept the mark of the beast are going to receive, right? So it says here, this is Revelation, it says at the top, doomed for the worshippers of the beast system, right? That is received that RFID micro C hip, right? So this is Revelation 14 and 9. It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receiveth his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into a cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Right? Verse 11 says, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they shall have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and worship, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Right? So it says, here is the patience of the saints, and are they that keep the commandments of the Most High, and have faith of Yahushua HaMashiach. Right? Yahushua. So I'm going to leave it there. I pray that this lesson has been edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. With that, I give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. I want to say shalom to you, Akim, you brothers out there laboring, pushing this word out in all truth and sincerity. And I want to say shalom to the hopeful elect So on to the next one, Lord willing. Shalom.